Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today we have a guest on the pod. So I am super excited to introduce you guys to Scott. I'm going to say it wrong. Proposki.
No, that sounds great. I've been
Okay,
called a
great.
lot worse, Alex. Come on, that's
Guys,
great.
I literally wrote down the pronunciation. I was like, all right, Scott, help me with it. But
Scott
apparently,
Proposki.
apparently I'm, from little old Georgia and say things differently. But
It
anyway,
sounded fantastic.
thanks, Scott. Well, I'm super excited to have you on, Scott, and get to yap with you and hear more about you. I've gotten to read a lot about you, but I haven't actually got to meet you in person yet. So we're becoming friends right here live on the podcast, along with all of my friends listening. So I'm super excited. But before we jump in, give me a little bit about you, a background about you, and really just tell me about your business.
Yeah, no, well, first off, thanks for having me here. I do appreciate it. It takes a lot of time and effort to create a podcast, so you've done a phenomenal job on the coordination of it. So great job, A plus.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, in an early age, I started off with National Geographic. I was very fortunate. I was the event photographer and quickly grew to Time Inc. and Sports Illustrated and headshots from Microsoft all around the country.
That's so
Games of
crazy.
Thrones with HBO and created teams all around the country. And then eventually got to the White House with President Obama.
This is crazy. When I read all of that about you, I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to chat. I want to meet Scott. I feel like it's cool. In today's world, we have social media and that makes the world a lot smaller. But at the time of you starting, was social media a thing? Was it becoming a thing? What did that look like for you at the time of you starting?
Well, I don't really consider myself old, but what I'm about to say, some people are going to say, wow, that's an old guy.
It might
But
age you a little bit.
it's kind of put an age number on me. But put it this way, one of my early customers was MySpace. Um,
Wow, I love that.
yes,
That's cool.
yeah. So
I remember the
MySpace and
MySpace days.
Fox News Corp and American Idol, and they were all
That's
part of
so
the same
cool.
team at one point. So
That's really it's just such a wild testament to your success at that time. And I know we're going to talk about maybe a little bit of dip in that and then kind of how you rose out of the ashes of it. And I'm super excited about that. But just stopping on that, what you just listed is a really cool resume. That's amazing, and like I said, that happened really before the big age, obviously MySpace, but the really big age of social media that was in its infancy, right? And so just to think about the success that you had in a very in-person world is really, really cool. And just props to you for all of that. I can't imagine the really hard work and grit that you put into your job and into your life to get you to that place. But I know obviously in a lot of people's lives, the pandemic and 2020 happened, and it's a thing that happened, and it's a thing that rocked a lot of people. So I'd love to hear about that kind of in your story as well.
yeah, no, that's definitely a pivotal point in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people's lives. But in course of history, there was the Great Depression and of course 9/11 back at that
Sure.
moment in time, and now we had the pandemic, right? It's not going to be the last time we're going to have a crisis that's going to happen in the world.
Yeah.
And kind of that's why my mission is to help photographers build a business to last a lifetime. Because nobody can anticipate a pandemic, a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And I believe photographers were like what I call ground zero
Mm.
to losing work and not being in big events and people. It all went away.
Yeah.
And I really do believe we're the key ground zero of a lot of people that had a hard time.
Yeah. I think that's such a cool way to look at it. I think my story in this is different because for me, I had a full-time job. I was doing photography just completely on the side, completely as a
Mm.
hobby. And I never had the goal of being full-time. That wasn't something I really wanted. I just wanted to keep it as a hobby. And 2020 was when that shifted for me. So I have the complete opposite of your story personally, where
Mm.
2020
Mhm.
was my full-time job took the backseat. And for me, I'm like, how can I just play around with my camera? What, little courses can I take? And what,
Mm.
who is it that I can see that's in my circle? At the time you could gather up to 10 and, all the things. And
Mm.
so I just started doing photo shoots and it became this creative, life giving thing to me. And I was like, I didn't know I loved this so much. I didn't know. And then that's when my journey was very much born. Before that, like I said, I had the camera, I knew what to do, all the things, but I wasn't investing into my business in the same way. So I think it's really cool to hear the opposite side of a photographer's journey, because I talk to a lot of people who might be in the same boat as me, but there's so many photographers and creatives in the world that have your story with this too. What I think is really cool though is that you, in the coolest way, have capitalized on your loss to now like building a sustainable business through the things that can shake. And you're like, and I want to teach other photographers to do that too. So I think that's really, really cool. When you think back to that season, do you think like the hardest part for you was like the financial loss of it and like the financial hardship, or do you think that it was more like the identity aspect of it? Because I think that when we are creatives, we can put a lot of identity on accident into our creativity, whatever that is, whether it's like our graphic design or it's photography or, whatever that is. But on accident, it can happen. So, which one do you think was maybe harder for you?
I would have taken the words right out of your mouth. Identity, right?
Yeah.
Money's great. We all have to work, pay the bills, and so forth, right? But when you get to a certain point and you're all in, I mean, I'm all in. There is no other option but to do what I was doing. And then it stops. You go from 52
Mm,
team members that I had around the country to, negotiating with a $30 million investor to maybe collaborate with your business. Okay. And working on a second book at the time.
wow.
And overnight, it disappears to zero, stops. Um, the mind, it's a big shift.
Hmm.
What the heck just happened? Right.
Yeah.
And when you're in it, you don't realize it. You don't realize it. And
Yeah.
it took a while. Like, what am I going to do next? Who am I? What am I doing? What? How am I going to rebuild this? 25,
Yeah.
28 years of rebuilding this to writing multiple books, having 52 team members, bringing the business up to 4.2 million at the time. Uh, that's going to be, it sometimes can feel like unachievable,
Yeah.
for sure.
So do you think that when you kind of got to that place of like, okay, I need to rebuild this, you obviously had to work on the identity aspect of it, right?
Mm,
Like, and you're
yeah.
like, okay, well, I don't really want to rebuild what I had before because A, I was putting my identity in it. And then B, it wasn't sustainable. It just went away when something happened.
Mm,
So it was like a little Jenga tower. You pulled one piece and it fell, right? So
yeah.
what do you think you were thinking, or what was like your plan forward for, ooh, okay, I need to rebuild something that is lasting and something that's different than I had before?
Yeah, and I love different. I was always about unique and different,
Yeah,
unconventional ways to have for
we're
success.
creatives.
We're creatives, right? The standard do it this way, follow the rule book just doesn't really go well with me.
That's right.
So that was the challenge. And it took a good 4 years to
Mm,
actually figure that out.
wow.
And I disappeared. I didn't talk to anybody. I threw the office keys into the office, literally, and just walked away.
Wow.
And I was literally lost, just speechless of what I was going to do and getting frustrated, right? And now my frustration's kicking in. And I reached back out to one of my business coaches and he goes, Scott, how's it going? And he caught me on an off day because this isn't usually like me, but I started like really kind of digging into like, all these people on Instagram, on YouTube, they're saying that they're a photographer and they're going to coach people and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And I'm like, they've never even done it before.
Yeah. You're like, I know what I'm talking
What,
about.
I'm screaming at my monitor, my
Yeah.
TV, my MacBook Pro, going, "What? What are you doing?"
That's so funny.
And it was kind of interesting because I didn't I was the top 1% of event photographers at that time,
Yeah,
no,
I believe it.
undoubtable. And it was once you're at that point, there wasn't a lot of competition, so I really wasn't used to competition.
Mm,
So trying to figure out what I was doing and seeing where people are claiming to do certain things, and I believe it's only bragging rights till after you do it,
sure.
right? And and this is why people, I believe in coaching. The only reason why I grew the company this big because of that. But that day, he said to me in my little rant, he goes, Scott, why don't you do something about it?
Mm,
And I went, that's fair. I mean, I wrote multiple books. My first book called Camera Focus was sitting on my desk the whole time for 4 years, looking at it. It was written to find an investor for the company, right? I mean, that's the real secret, right? It wasn't how
Yeah.
many books I sold. I just needed to sell the one,
Yeah.
and I did, and I found that person. Um, but that all went away, and what I didn't realize is the book that I actually wrote, Camera Focus, was the book that I actually went back to to actually bring myself back together again.
That's cool.
Because the books about metaphor around a camera and photography and helping people focus, especially creative people with ADHD like myself, right? Very creative, go go go.
Yeah.
And it was the book that I realized that this is how I'm going to help people,
Hmm.
right? And this is how I came up with the concept of camera focus method, where I'm like, hey, I'm struggling here. I'm 57 years old. I'm unemployable. I have a great resume, but I'm unemployable.
Sure.
And what did I do best? And Alex, it wasn't taking photographs. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't the best photographer, but what I was good at was building a team and having leadership. To grow
Hmm.
a business of that size, to have the amount of employees I had, you had to have good leadership and good vision.
That's really
And I
cool.
said, that's what I'm good at. So I started to think, I'm like, my mission's bigger now than it was before because I was limited to my own employees I had.
Sure.
Now I'm unlimited. I can, if you want help in your photography business around the globe, I'm here to help. Simple as that. It's unlimited.
Yeah. That's really cool. I think that's cool too because I think I started basically a workshop, but an educational content camp for photographers.
In May
Um,
2026, I want to go. I did
let's
listen to the
do it.
podcast.
Come sign up. Sign-ups are open now. Yeah, no, it's been like such a blessing and such a really cool thing that I get to build because it's exactly what you just said, where it's actually nothing to do with my photos. And
Mhm.
I'm most likely not going to be the best photographer in the room at photo camp. Like there's so many talented
Mhm.
photographers that come from beginners to professionals and intermediate, all in between, and I'm somewhere in there, right? But I can lead a room and I can
Mhm.
create community and I can love people well, and that's what photo camp is. So I love that
Sure.
you are saying that because I think that that's so like significant for photographers to hear. So many times people get so stuck in the comparison trap. And it almost sounds like
Mhm.
that's kind of where you were in a different way because it wasn't even about the photos for you. But like when you're on your rant with your business coach, it was comparison in a way where it's like, why
Yeah.
are they getting to do all those things? They don't have the experience that I do. But when we can pull ourselves back and say, but what is it that I do have? What is it that sets me apart as a photographer or as a business owner or as a person in general? Because a lot of the time it's just your personhood too. Like what are the things that are awesome in your personality and how can you bring that into your business? Like that's the thing that actually sets us apart. That's the thing that I think makes us into the top 1% of whatever it is that we're trying to um, you know, really lead out in our business, whether that's like you want to be the top 1% of couples photographers or senior photographers or fashion photographers. Like what's the thing that makes you different? And that's the thing that people are going to look for and really like, especially on social media, that's the thing that they're going to really, really like hone in on and desire from you. So I love that you said that. I think that's really, really cool. In your opinion, what do you feel like photographers most misunderstand about success? Because that's the thing I really feel like you're
Mm.
redefining in all of this is like what success means. You thought you had success before and you did, but then you had to pivot and now you have different success. So what do you think is most misunderstood about it?
Honestly, it's going to sound pretty blunt, but it's not about you. If you're
Mm,
listening to this, it's not about you. It's about the problems you can solve. And you can solve a lot of problems
yeah.
with your camera. And if you can figure that out, what problem you solve for somebody else,
Mm,
you're going to be just fine. You're going to have a lot of work. You're going to be happy. You're going to enjoy your career. You're going to enjoy what you're doing. You're just going to find that one thing.
that's cool. What's an example of that you would say, whether it's in your own business or somewhere else?
Yeah, so I have a lot of photographers I speak to, and they get too caught up that it's about me. Why wouldn't anybody hire me? Look at these images. Of course they would hire me. And I'm like, they don't know you. They don't know
Yeah.
you. You know you, but they don't know you. But if you can help that person understand that and that you're going to change that person's life, like
Mm,
for example, if you're a wedding photographer, And you just have a unique way of taking photographs that you can communicate with that you just got it nailed.
Yeah.
And you're talking to the bum's bride, the bum's groom, parents, whoever, and you're like, this is what's going to happen when I photograph your wedding. We're going to do ABC, we're going to do this, and this is going to happen, and then I'll take care of this and this and this and this. And you're not going to have anything to worry about because when you come back from your honeymoon, we're going to have all your images exactly perfectly set up for you so that you can show your friends and family or whatever your pitch is, right?
Yeah.
But I'm selling the vision of them not worrying. That's their problem.
That's good.
They're worried because they don't know if this person can actually take photographs because they've heard horror stories before.
Yeah. Especially on TikTok, that has been a massive thing, especially with weddings. I feel bad
Yeah.
for our wedding photographers listening because it really is like it's scary for a wedding photographer these days because there's been a ton of people on TikTok who like have poor experiences and then go on TikTok and share it with the world. But I do love what you said, like over communicating the expectations and like you get to choose as the photographer what those expectations are. You get to set how you're going to solve the problems for them, but really like setting the expectations up of how you're going to solve their problems and then doing it. So make sure that they're achievable for you too. You know, don't just like yap about something and then not actually do
Stop
it.
bragging rights until you do it.
Right. That's right. That's right. Going back to what you said. Yeah. So I love that. What do you think are like some foundational things that every business needs to actually have if it's going to last? Like if it's going to achieve that successful, thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the problem with the world right now. You have a product or service, you're being commoditized, right? You're
Mm,
being shopped. You're being Amazoned, as I call it, right? Like, how much is it here? How much is it here? How much is it here?
true.
So if you can eliminate you from being commoditized with telling your story, guess what? Nobody can tell your story. I help photographers around the globe build their business to last a lifetime. I have a story that goes with that. I am absolutely 1,000%. Nobody can share my story
Yeah.
that's going to get your attention that you don't want anybody else's help because this just fits for what you're looking for
Yeah.
because of my story.
That's really good. What do you think? Like, how do you think that the majority of photographers should share their story? What does that look like? I know for you, it's like, I wrote a book, and this is like my way of doing that. But if you were talking to somebody who's like, I have no idea where to even start with that, what would you say?
Everybody has a story. You got to discover that story.
It's good.
And that story becomes a script, your performance. Just because you said it 1,000 times, hopefully you did, and you're speaking to somebody else, they haven't heard it 1,000 times,
Yeah.
but it's that story that you've strategized exactly how to position yourself as the expert without having ego. And I call it selling without selling, right?
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, here's a good example. Currently, still, the New England Patriots are still my clients. I still have photography clients, high end clients,
Cool.
and I'll have a conversation with maybe another client, and I'll say, what you're looking for, it reminds me of what I did with the New England Patriots. We did the exact same thing, and this is why it works.
Hmm.
And they go, huh? What? And here in Boston right now, the New England Patriots are really big. So when I can share those photos on social media, that I'm actually living what I speak and do what I do, right? Um, what I just did right there was not bragging or ego. I was sharing a story and I was talking to you as a customer saying, well, I remember the time I did this at the White House, or maybe when I did this. I'm not saying, hey, I'm a White House National Geographic event photographer and I can do your job. I don't say that. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I've never even said anything for 20, 25 years till after I read my book. I never
Hmm.
even told anybody what I did once I came home.
That's
And
so
this is why I'm
crazy to
telling
think
my
about.
story because of my identity.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think like even just what you just said is a cool example of that, of where that's actually not your full story working with the New England Patriots. It's a piece of your story. So really like we have a story, but then we have pieces of our story and we can share those pieces in a way, exactly what you said, in a way that doesn't feel salesy or icky or sticky, gross. Like it's literally your story that you worked with the New England Patriots. that's flippin' cool. Like you want to share that, like of course people want to hear that. And, even just like a very small piece of that is whenever I work with guy seniors, because I work with a lot of graduating seniors, my like claim to fame is, this is so funny, but my claim to fame is that my brother is in the NFL. So my brother, it plays for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh,
And it's so fun getting to share that with them. And that's not me like bragging on anything, also like I didn't do anything, like I don't play football, anything like that. But for them, they're like attracted to that. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. And can ask me questions. And, I barely know anything, but I can regurgitate what he's told me, and stuff with football. But like, it's so cool because that's an instant touch point where they now trust me and they want to hear more about that, and stuff like that. So there's different pieces of your story that you can bring up at ideal times to help your client to trust you. And whether that's like for me, when I first meet them at the session and we're yapping and I'm getting to know the guy senior, right? Or maybe for you, it's like with a wedding client, if you're listening to this and you do weddings and you do a consultation call and it's like getting to know them and then you bringing certain things up in the conversation that are helpful to get to know people. That is so smart. And it's exactly what you're saying, Scott. It's sharing your story in like these very intentional ways in order to, yes, sell your service. But so much of your service when you're a creative entrepreneur is tied to your story. So I love that you're saying that. I think that's so, so smart. If there are photographers who are listening to this that just feel like stuck or maybe a little bit like you were in 2020, maybe they're drained, maybe they're overwhelmed, maybe they're just a little bit scattered, maybe it has nothing to do with where you're at in 2020 and they're just like swamped with work, but it's not the work that they want. Like what's a simple shift that photographers can make if they feel that way?
focus on one thing. And I can probably tell you exactly what's going on. Sometimes I get caught with it too. I'm working on 32 different projects and ideas. This is going to be the big one. This is going to be great. I got to do this. Nobody else is doing this. Oh, I got to tell you something. Probably there is. And if
So
we
true.
just conquer the first domino, right?
Yeah.
I had troubles with it myself after the pandemic. I was like, okay, let me try this. Let me try that. And that ain't gonna work. Forget it. That ain't gonna work.
You're like
And I
throwing
said over
spaghetti
again, I
at the
try something
wall,
else,
seeing what sticks.
right? Yeah, it makes total. Looking back on, it, I can I can share my. I can tell you, don't do what I did, and this is why.
That's your
Right?
story.
This is my story. Don't do what I did. Do what I say. Dad was
So funny.
right. Dad was right.
That's so cool to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
If I got this visual, if I can share this visual story with you, can I share a story with you, Alex?
please. That's what we're talking about.
And it took a while for me to actually understand this, what was actually going on, right? And this is over the past few years. This isn't like, well, back in my day, guys. It's not that at all, right? We have these ideas. If you can visualize yourself on top of the hill and you're flying high, this is awesome. This is great. I can do this. Awesome. Telling everybody, oh, this is great, all over social media, blah, blah, blah. And then you start working with it. And then if you can picture yourself on top of this hill, but now you're sliding down the hill. It's getting complicated. And then you get
Mm,
to the bottom of that little valley there, and you're like, no, I'm out. I ain't gonna work. So
yeah.
what happens? You got like a little video game. You get pushed all the way back to the top. And then you find yourself doing the same thing. Oh, I have an idea. I think I can do this. And you start sliding down. You end up in the valley again. And then you go back up again. And you can completely restart and start all over again.
Mm,
Versus if you got down to the bottom of the little valley there and you want to go back up the summit with a little bit more energy and effort, you can push yourself way back up again. But it's not easy for sure, right?
mm,
And
yeah.
that's where we stop. We're out of breath. We're out. We have no energy. Nope,
Yeah.
we're out. Let's go back to the top. Just push
Mm,
through. Get to the top.
that's cool. Yeah, I think that's where like a buzzword right now I would say is burnout. And I think
Yeah,
that's where a lot of
right.
people in
Yeah,
burnout, they quit,
yeah,
or in
they quit.
burnout, they stop and then they have to start again. And it's a lot harder than if you just push through. And I'm not saying like true burnout. If somebody like genuinely needs help, that's different. But if you're like really just tired, what you do in your tired season matters. like it matters for
Yeah.
your business.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that visual. That's really cool. I think I'm going to sit on that for a little bit, chew on it myself. Okay, cool. Well, I have really just one more question for you before we kind of wrap up our conversation. And I'm really proud of us because I've been really trying to hit that 30-minute mark, and it's been a hard goal to achieve, and we are almost at it, Scott. So I'm proud of us. But for somebody who's listening who just feels like they've lost momentum and they're in that valley place, like you were just talking about, they're behind a little bit. Maybe they're really tired. What do you think they genuinely need to hear in that valley moment?
They have to be careful who they ask for opinions.
That's really good.
Keep on, hey, should I do this? Hey, should I do this? And you ask everybody, hey, should I do this? On social media, should I do this? Should I do this? And I got 32 different answers, and about 31 of them have no idea what you're actually asking.
Right.
They
Right.
just maybe want to be a friend or say something good. You know, uh, just because family loves you, they might not have the right answers.
Hmm.
Is just be careful who you ask about what to do next and how you're going to do it.
Yeah. Who would you say you should ask?
Well, no promotion here, right? But what worked for me is I had multiple coaches.
Yeah.
I had coaches along the way that kind of understood. And it wasn't the amount of time or weeks that I spent with this person. It could have been the one thing that they said that just clicked. Like my business coach that said to me, Scott, why don't you do something about it? I was
Yeah.
complaining about something, right? Well, do something about it. Are you just going to sit there and complain?
Yeah. It brought you to that pivotal moment only because you were talking to him about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But the right person. I mean, other people would have said, Scott, let it go. Don't worry about it. Why are you paying attention to somebody else? But a business
Yeah.
coach, knowing business, my capabilities, will say, Scott, do something about it.
I love that. Yeah, you need the right voice in your ear. A lot of the time, I think, especially if you are stuck in that valley, if you go to friends that aren't the right friends for it and aren't going to just push you and help you to get up the mountain or take the next mountain, or know when to tell you, ooh, we need to pause here. We need to work on some stuff before we
Right.
start pushing
Right.
up the mountain, because it could be both,
Yeah.
But if you go to the friends that just help you justify your own stuff, it's never going to be the right person to go to.
Probably not going to be the right answer.
Yeah. Like we
Love you
need
guys,
people that
but
ask us, right? We need people that ask us the hard questions. And again, maybe the answer is not pushing right now. Maybe we need to chill for a second. Maybe we need to do something where we can twiddle our thumbs for a second. Like, I don't know what the answer is for you, but that's because I'm not sitting there asking you the right questions right now. You need
right.
somebody that
Yeah.
is going to ask you the right questions. And that was perfect from your business coach, Scott, just asking you the right question in that moment that led to a pivotal moment into your business. And now we're sitting here on a podcast yapping about it, like
Yeah, there you go.
this is so cool, Cool. Well, Scott, it's been like an honor to talk to you. And the fact that you, like I said, have such a resume and I just get to sit here and learn from you is the coolest thing in the world. So tell everyone where they can find you and follow you and learn more from you. And of course, tell everyone about your book.
Yeah, book's called Camera Focus. It's on Amazon. Go on Amazon, check it out. It's my first book. I have a few others there as well. But just go to camerafocus.com and you can find me and find my program. I run a laid back program, as you can tell. And if I can't help everybody, and for the people that do want help, that ask, I can try.
You're like, I'm here.
I can try.
I love it. I love the humility in that. You're like, I'm not for everyone, but for those of you who I am, I'm here and I'm going to ask the right questions and I'll try to help you. I love that. Well, thank you so much for hanging with us today. Guys, make sure you go follow Scott, go look at his website, check out his book, because obviously it's been an honor to talk to him. And I know it would be so awesome to read his book and learn more from him. So anyway, I love you guys so much. And I will see you guys next Thursday. Mwah. Bye.